Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism, and I'm trying to figure out what in the world is going on with the repeating over and over and over again. So give me 1 second.
Houston, we have a problem.
We copy you on the ground.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism, and I'm trying to figure out what in the world is going on with the repeat. Ah, finally. That was really weird. I don't know what was causing that. All right, well, I'm here. Hopefully, so are you guys. I'm not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Let's say that. Now, let me check the chat, make sure everybody is at least seeing what I'm seeing, because I've never had that happen before. Just kept repeating the intro over and over again. First of all, does everyone see the tracking screen? Let me know if everyone... it's okay now? Okay, good. I don't know what was going on at the beginning there. Max lands in 50 minutes. Yeah, I believe so. Looks like arrival estimated 11:02. So that's about 50 minutes, if we're correct. I'm just trying to make sure everything's good here, because that I've never had that happen before. What's going on here? Is this thing what's doing it? Nope. All right. Seems like everything else is working. All right. Well, we won't worry about it. It's probably the best way to handle it. So thanks, you guys, for joining us this morning. It is early, 5:10 a.m. here on the Pacific Time Coast, West Coast. I don't know, I'll wake up eventually. I don't drink coffee, so that's probably why I can't get that little spark going. I've just been looking at some of my email messages, some interesting messages from many different people. We had Wolfie email a bunch of times. Also had a few other people that have airline experience. A few people from New Zealand, a few people from Australia. So I was trying to read all those this morning. Lots of people that are very interested in this. It's not as cut and dry as people might think. And it is actually a topic of concern for a lot of people. What exactly is going on? We are going to look at a couple things here. First of all, let's see if we can get any speed. And we'll also play a replay on this flight and see what we can get from that. So right now we've got a ground speed of 616, Mach of 0.816, but it is coming down, and we can figure that out by just looking at the vertical speed. Let's go ahead and try and pull up a replay of this flight, if we can find it. Let's see, let's go this one. Wait, where's my little button here? Weird. And then I did last night before I went to bed, I read up on the whole idea of true airspeed versus ground speed, and so we wanted to discuss that so that we can report it the way that they tell us it works. Right now I'm just trying to get back to this screen. Alright, so we are going to pull up this flight and the QFA 27. Okay, what, didn't I just do this? QFA 27, yes. What is going on? There's usually a little plane button over here. Why do I not see it? Am I blind? Okay, let's go back again. Don't know why that's not showing up right. Let me go to history instead. Data history. And we're looking for flight QFA 27. That one? Yeah, don't mess around. What is going on? You know, it's really kind of funny. I saw that somebody wrote and told me that they could tell that somebody was manually adjusting this flight because I was covering it live. But if you look now, and I don't know if you're watching what I'm doing, but I cannot get the thing to come up that will replay flights. It's just changing. It's not, but you can just go back and look at yesterday's video and see that I was clicking on the plane, which will bring up the little side view box. I'm not getting that now. Okay, let's go to live tracking again. That's what we did all day yesterday. And we're putting in our plane QFA 27. Okay. Let's go to this one instead. Recent flights. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if anybody was watching yesterday, there is supposed to be a button over here, the little plane button. Completely gone. So this flight here, so I'm not able to show that the replays. Hold on one second, let me see. Oh, maybe it's too early. Maybe I need to go back to bed. I'm gonna go back to bed. I'll be back in an hour, and then everything will work fine. Let's see here. What's going on here? Okay, flight history. Why does this say flight history not available? Not available. What is this screen? This is nothing like we saw before. Okay, let's go instead to. Wouldn't be in there. Aircraft, airports. Let's go to search. Okay, search by flight, search by aircraft. Okay, let's just do it here. QF27. This one. Flight history. Yes. What is going on? The screen is completely different. I'm gonna try and clear my cache and everything and see if it's something to do with that. Oh, that's scary. Do I want to do that? It won't drop the hangout, will it? I don't think if I empty the cache, it shouldn't. Give me 1 second, folks. Sorry about this. I don't know why I'm not getting the same screens I just was. And let's go ahead and clear history. Okay. Alright, let's see if that helped anything. And let's just go to this site again. Don't be blocking me. I'm also going to try and sign out. See if it gets me log out. Alright, so now we're looking at just the basic screen here. Oh, now we got to deal with ads. Great. Okay, let's search QA27 or QF27. Stop messing around. This one, what's that? Okay. Context QF27. This is our. So you'll see here if you're looking at the screen that without the account you don't have any of the same data that we have. These things are all locked. The lock icons. So let's go to the QF27 and see if we can get unbelievable. What the hell is going on? I'm going to go to another flight and see if it's just that flight or if I'm looking at all the flights, why they're not. Let me sign back in to start. Come on, thing. Okay, so let's go log in. Yes, me. Okay. This is nothing like I've ever seen. This is not the screen that we usually get. Let me try a different flight. Let's back all the way out of here. Let's go to tracking. Oh, it is possible too. I'm seeing that people may not see the entire right side of my screen. Let me shrink this a little bit. Sorry, I'm just bringing the whole screen back into view for you guys. I just noticed that you're not seeing the whole thing. There we go. Put it a little bit more this way. A little bit. A little bit. Okay, there. So now you see the whole screen. So let's just check a random flight here. Okay, this one, the Air Tahiti flight. Bringing that up. And let me see here if I can get over here more. Scoot. Okay. Now what did they see here? So that could be the problem. If we scoot this way, oh, we'll lose it that way too. All right, I think I might have got it. Let's go back now. Might have been because my browser wasn't showing far enough to the right. I still don't know what you guys see, if you see it or not, but let's see here. Nope, it's still the same damn screen. Unbelievable. Come on. Search again. Why would it be showing all of that? Where am I at? Okay, so where's the Qantas flight? It's going to be flying in here. Which one is it? This, nope. This one. Should be over. I lost it already. Alright, let's just search here. QF27. View flight info. Live flights. Go to flight. Alright, come on. Oh, so it's still out over the water. And now we're going to click on the flight. Come on, don't screw up. Ah, no. Yes, okay, we got it. This is the screen we weren't seeing before. We were just going straight to this bottom piece, which doesn't look anything like it usually does. But this is the replay, so we'll be able to see at least that much, which I was trying to get to. All right, so let's see here. You'll see that it wasn't tracked in this black area here. So as the plane starts going, we're going to come across. We're going to check out these true airspeed indicator. So one thing, when it loses connectivity, it's going 33,000. It's at 33,000 feet, and then when it comes back, it's at 67,000 feet. You'll also see its ground speed was 724 as it lost connectivity, and then it comes back at 626. But you'll see by rocking this back and forth, I'm not able to get any true airspeed. Hopefully you can see that. There's nothing causing that to register. See, so it registers way back here, or way on this side. Not even way on that side yet. But nothing in the middle. But if you look at an older flight, let's see if we go back one, just to show you where normally, or not normally, but with those flights, you'll actually get the opportunity to see the true airspeed if you rock that thing back and forth, which is ridiculous because when you sign up for an account, they tell you that you'll get to see the true airspeed. Of course, they decide which flights you will get to see and which not. So let's see here. What is this piece? Follow flight. No, let's go here. Okay, so I'm just going to go to a random one in the past, maybe September 18th. Okay, so it's working here. So now we're just looking at a random, same flight, Let's see if we can see anything on the true airspeed here. So it comes out. Okay, here. So you'll see that we're seeing a true airspeed here, and let me rock it, see what I can get it to show up as. Okay, right there, I'm holding it 1,142 miles per hour. Okay, so here's something interesting that I read yesterday. Can I stay there? I lost it. But you'll see that they're actually trying to hide that. It says NA, and it's only by kind of rocking this that I can get it to kind of, I don't know if it messes up or for whatever reason, but you can get it to show up, even though it probably is not supposed to. But if you look at the ground speed of the plane, what's that, 613 right there, or 611. Let's go to this aerospace.web or aerospaceweb.org. And you see they're going to discuss the way it works with airspeed and wind and ground speed. So basically what they're saying here is that when you take the speed of the plane, so this in this particular case, that plane is going 500 miles per hour, and you add the wind behind it, going 100 miles per hour, so now we've got a total air flight speed, according to the ground, of 600 feet. Makes sense, that's what it should be, and I don't understand why it wouldn't be. But if we look here, our ground speed is 611, but if we rock this back and forth, for instance there, we're at a ground speed of 600 miles per hour, a true airspeed of 1139. So here's something interesting that I think might be the case. And then it also shows that the wind is in your face. Well, obviously you're going 500 minus the 100 would be a ground speed of 400. Talks about all these different ways that you come up with these numbers. But the most interesting one, and I saw this from last time, and then I remembered, now I remember what I did. You can figure out this number on your own by taking 2% of the speed added for every 1,000 feet of altitude. So let me find out exactly where that says it before I say it. Maybe it's on the next screen. Nope, that's the calculator. 1 second, this one here. Make sure I'm reading this right. Where is it here? It says something about airspeed becomes very important. Wind tunnels, additional information. Okay, so basically if you take a plane at, say, 40,000 feet, okay, you could take 2% of the speed. So we just saw 611. Let's just take 600. It's an easier number to deal with. So 2% of 600 would be, 1% would be 6, 2% would be 12. Okay, so that's 12 miles per hour. And then you multiply that by the thousands of miles. So we would take 12 times 40, since we're at 40,000 feet. 12 times 40, 0 carries 0 is 8, is 480. So if that's true, then what's happening here is you're taking the ground speed of 600 miles per hour, the plane speed, 600 miles per hour, and adding the 480 miles per hour, which equals 1,080 miles per hour. Now that's going off of, let me read you 1 second so I can find it exactly. We've previously discussed methods of calculating the speed. It's important to understand relative to the air. I'm trying to find where that 2% thing is, just so people don't think I'm making it up. Was it here? Let's assume the plane is moving now. I know I read it on this thing. 1 second. Oh, actually, I'll do a find and see if I can find 2%. 2%. Nowhere, right. 2. Nope, then it would said, sure, it was airspeed and ground speed. What else is here? Can I go back one? Maybe it was on the screen before that. Hello? Airspeed, ground speed. Maybe it was this one. Oh, maybe it was here I saw it. Mach versus altitude tables. If I was smart, I would have saved it last night, yeah? But where was was it? I just don't want to go on because I don't want people to think I made that up. So 1 second. Atmospheric properties calculator. Oh, wait, here it is. Okay, so it's right here. So it's talking about these tables were created using the 1976 U.S. standard atmosphere. Unfortunately, most textbooks and computer programs that provide standard atmosphere tables only go up to a height between 200,000 and 295,000 feet. Sources that do provide speed of sound values beyond these altitudes are rather contradictory. To extend our tables to 400,000 feet, okay, now I'm reading something that's completely not what I thought it was. While the Mach 1 values provided... Nope, that's not what it is either. Sorry. Thought I saw something that I recognized. Come on. Nope, it's not here either. What page was that on? It was after this one. This one? Okay. Influence of winds and velocity, these discussions. Okay, I read that. If the wind blows the opposite, we know that. We know that. Such winds, okay, we know that. Nevertheless, we point out the Mach number. Okay. 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 Gotcha. Experience wind, okay. Ground speed, object moves through the air, is blown past the model, additional. Here it's on this page. Types of airspeed. Oh, yeah, this is it. Alright, good. Now I remember seeing this. Okay. Let me find out where it is exactly. These airs internally cause or flying 500. It's right along here somewhere. This is where I read it. Okay. So, and we can read through this whole page if we want to. But I'm trying to find where it says that we can do that 2% rule. Because that's important. I mean, when are we adding that to the actual speed? Because 2% of the speed multiplied by 40 is quite a bit. Let's see here. Finally, all right. So now it's talking about the final source of air that can be accounted for is the decrease in air density that a plane experiences the higher it flies. At very high altitudes, the density eventually drops to near zero. So a vehicle in orbit, if such thing existed, for example, typically travels at a speed of about 17,000 miles per hour. At this extreme altitude, however, there is very little air to ram into the pitot tube, so the indicated, calibrated, and equivalent air speeds would be virtually zero. So here's the part I was talking about. This density error can be corrected for if the pilot knows the atmospheric density at the plane's current altitude. This piece of information is typically calculated using the static pressure provided by the pitot static system and the atmospheric temperature. Once density is known, the equivalent airspeed can be converted to true airspeed. Another approach to estimate the true airspeed is a rule of thumb technique based on the indicated airspeed and altitude. In this approach, the pilot simply increases the indicated airspeed by 2% for every 1,000 feet of altitude to approximate the true airspeed. Many airspeed indicators also include a sliding scale to perform this conversion for the pilot and provide the true airspeed. You can perform any of these airspeed conversions yourself using the atmospheric properties calculator on the site. So again, it just says that a rule of thumb would be based on the indicated airspeed and altitude. In this approach, the pilot simply increases the indicated airspeed by 2% for every 1,000 feet of altitude to approximate the true airspeed. So when we're seeing true airspeeds here of, let's rock this back and forth here again. So we're seeing true airspeeds of 1142. Let's see if we can get another number. Come on. 860, 862. There's 1142 again, 900. So if those speeds are true, then, number one thing is ground speed is incorrect. They're describing it as, if we go back and look at that little diagram they had, they're saying that the ground speed takes care of, the speed that the plane is actually moving on the ground, per the ground. Well, wouldn't that be the true airspeed? Because if you are truly going 1,050 miles per hour, then you're covering that much ground in an hour. So something interesting there. Let's go back and see the live flight real quick. Make sure he's not landing. So we're getting close to the airport here. So now our speed's going to be obviously much lower. Well, even here it's covering 551, indicated airspeed of 311, true airspeed of 525. So that just doesn't make a lot of sense either. But I guess here you would look at this 311. You would realize they're at 30,000 feet. You would take this 311, so at 30,000 feet, and they're going 311. Let's see if this works out. So that would be 2% would be 6. Okay, so 6 times the 30 is 180, and we add 180 to 311, and we get 491. Okay, well, it's close, I guess. If they've got 525 and we just came up with in our head 491, that's close enough, I guess. So maybe what they're doing there is they took the indicated airspeed, then they're doing the 2% rule to get the true airspeed. So when we see true airspeed of 1,000 miles per hour, that would mean that we are taking the indicated airspeed, we're doing 2% of it to get up to 1,000 miles per hour, but then the lie, or I'll call it a lie, is the fact that the ground speed is not accurately depicting that. Here, the ground speed is. If you're only indicating 311, but we add all the numbers together and we end up at 518, well, then you're going to track about even with your true airspeed to the ground. So 518 to 529. That seems to make sense to me. When you see a true airspeed of 1,000 miles per hour and a ground speed of 500, that's impossible. How could you possibly have a true airspeed of 1,000 miles per hour, but you're only going 500 miles on the ground? That's where I think the deception is. If you ask me, these planes are flying much faster than they tell us, and they simply are lying about the ground speed, because if this ground speed, right now it's matching. See, there's not any change here. And I don't mean any change. It's not enough change it would make a difference. 500 to 519. Big deal. So, but this is tracking. This is saying that the true airspeed is tracking with the ground speed. And actually, I think, if you think about it, any plane that is in the air would need to go further than if you were at ground level. So you might be, there's going to be a difference there because you're higher up. Your circumference of a circle around the so-called globe would be bigger. So it should be pretty close. So when you see a discrepancy of double, a true airspeed of 1,000 miles per hour and a ground speed of 500, how can that possibly be the case? It can't. So what I think they're doing is they're just leaving this, basically they've got something set in here to keep the ground speed always at about, say, under a certain number, say under Mach. So if the idea people have in their head is okay, we can't go faster than 740, because we did see in this flight, actually, if we look at the replay, that it was going 7 what? I don't remember, 7 something. Let's go back and look real quick and see the replay of this, because it was going 7 something. Right as it, or was it 6 something? I think it was 7. Right as it hit the part where it went out of view. Let's see here again. So we're starting to replay here. So the plane leaves here, and oops, let me go down a little bit more so you can see it. Come on, go up a little bit. Okay, so now we can all see it. So right when it gets here, yeah. So you see right there under ground speed, it's going 718. But it won't show you the true airspeed. The reason why is because when you do the calculations, it's going to come up to over 1,000 miles per hour. And if they showed you, that's 720. If they showed you that this plane was going over 1,000 miles per hour, then it would prove 725. It would prove that the plane is flying a much greater distance. So, this is where you have to question things. Is why is this true airspeed not even tracked? Why are we not getting that. There's got to be a reason why they hide it for just this flight. It's ridiculous. Right here, we got an indicated airspeed. Oh, look at this. Oh, right there. Did I pause it perfectly? Yep. So we've got an indicated airspeed of 1,061. It just told us to take your indicated airspeed and add to it 2% of your altitude. So at 33,000 feet, you're talking 3.3 is 1%, so 6.6 is 2% times the 33. So now you got 33 times 6.6. Let me get my calculator. I'm not doing that on paper. 33 times 6.6 equals 217 miles that you would add to 1,061. So, I mean, I don't know. That's baffling. Clearly, there's something afoot here. And everybody who thinks that they understand it and that I don't, I dare you to try and make a video explaining what's going on here, where these numbers are coming from. Because the only way you'll be able to explain them is the same way they explain everything, by just saying it's a mistake, it's an error, that we're paying too much attention to this data. Granted that we're just taking numbers off some app, but at the same time, there's a reason why this is hidden, in my opinion. Let's go back to the live flight. And see if he's landed yet. And then it should be about 20 minutes after he lands that we can talk to him and find out. There's a lot of questions. I had an email from a guy who lives down in, now I don't remember if it's New Zealand or Australia, but he had some questions that he had that I think are important too, is finding out if he saw land as the plane went over New Zealand. If you guys were with us last night, the plane, I'll kind of draw back here so we can see. So as the plane went here, the original path, it started to come down here. And then all of a sudden there was an abrupt 90-degree turn to the left. It came up here and then coasted across New Zealand. And there was another tracking app, Flight Aware, I think, that showed the same path, and we were watching it. One was showing the plane over here, one was showing the plane here. We thought that was interesting. Then all of a sudden, the Flight Aware adjusted the flight and put it over New Zealand. So it will be interesting to see if Max, because they shouldn't be going, there's no way that they can't see that if you're flying over that. It was during the day, because he took off at 1:50 about in the afternoon. Granted, as you're coming in, actually, you can actually see the light here. I don't know if you can see that. But here it's dark, but you can actually watch the light. They basically fly into the night. But right there, they should have been out in the day. He should have easily been able to see that. So we're going to ask him that. We're going to ask for some of his compass readings, because did they, like for instance right now, we should be heading straight almost north. Let's see. Where's my heading? Okay, so they're tracking at 31 degrees. Again, draw a circle, like a watch face. 360 or 0 is up, 90 to the right, 180, 270. So this is perfect. He's going, according to this, 31 degrees, right? So draw your circle. Obviously 45 would be about 2 o'clock. So they're a little bit inside of 2 o'clock, the direction this plane's heading, and they're landing right here. So we want to see if his compass shows the same thing. Again, it doesn't prove anything, because in the planes there's a lot of electronics, but last time his compass seemed to show the path that you would expect on a flat Earth map, not the path you would expect on the globe. Again, of course, every globe person is just going to say, nope, it's because the plane is made of metal and the compass is off. Okay, that's fine. But again, if the same thing happens on this flight, well, how many times do you have to be, slapped in the face before you realize you're getting slapped in the face? Shouldn't be too many. So we got this plane coming in soon here. Let's see over here. This is the Qantas Flight Aware. Just going to see what they're showing, if it's showing the same thing. This one here doesn't seem to do as well at live stuff. Hello? Just a blank blue screen.
Blue screen. NASA.
NASA's in charge. Oh, there we go. This plane, what? Oh, this is awesome. Who's watching this? Is this the direction of the flight? Hold on. Why are they showing that line? What's going on here? Is it the right flight? It's a different flight, I'm assuming. What flight are we looking at? Sydney to Santiago. Yeah, this is the right one. Why are they showing that? QFA. Can you rewind this? No. 12 minutes remaining. What is that line? Why are they showing it that way? What the hell? They're showing the plane went... Hold on. They're showing it went west. Hold on a second. Time out. Time out on the floor. Need to get my bearings straight here. Get it? My bearings straight?
Cute.
That's good stuff. This got to be completely... What is going on here?
I've never seen this before.
I've never seen this either. Yeah, if anybody can see what I'm looking at, you are seeing it say that the plane went the other direction. Okay. The plane went that way. The plane should go this way. Hello? Oh, what happened? Sydney Airport. No, I didn't want to do that. Go back. Let's see if it...
This is crazy.
Let me try and reload this and see if what's going on here. It's interesting. At least we're recording, so
Yeah.
have that on camera. Let's close this one. Let's see if this does the same thing. Get your act together. Which way did this flight go? Don't be telling lies. 10 minutes remaining. Now it doesn't even show me the flight. Come on. 32 minutes late, 10 minutes remaining. Flight schedule, all flights between Sydney, not your flight. What is going on? Now I'm not getting any plane at all. 15 minutes early, Boeing 747 400 Qantas, all flights, graph. Wednesday, February 8th. So what's this one? That's 10th. That's not yet. 11:33. Great. This flight, yes. En route flight. Show me the damn plane then. What is going on, man? It's a weird day. There it is. That's not where the flight is. Oh, he went back to Sydney.
Someone's screwing up with their live.
What is going on? The plane is over here. What is... 10:31, Sydney, 10:45. It's showing the flight. This is the flight. That is so weird. What was the other site? There was FlightAware, and then there was, oh yeah, Plane Tracker. Let me check that one real quick. See if we get the same kind of nonsense. Flight. What did I say? FlightAware? Is it? Okay, we're going QF 27. That's QFA. Go. Oh, that's the one we were just on, genius. You gonna show me the plane? Nope. Very interesting that it showed it going the other way. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, and I'm certainly not saying that that's the case. I have no idea why they would show that, but let's try the other one. So this is FlightAware, then the other one was called Plane Tracker, I thought. Or Plane Tracker. No, that's FlightAware.
Flight Radar 24.
No, that's the one that I have.
Flight View.
I'll try this one. Airline flight number QF27. Departing date was the 8th, whatever. Thank you. It's departed. That's what this thing shows you?
Live flight information.
That's like an ad. Flight tracker, QF, okay. Arrival, estimated time, weather, aircraft, hotels. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. It's a good site, quality site. Well, actually, it says flight tracker right there. Maybe you have to click this thing. QF27. Try flight. Okay, thanks a lot. Piece of junk. And usually they have planes that do this, so it's coming in and making a turn. So now it's tracking 178, which makes sense again. 90, 180 is straight down, so it's coming straight south. And did it land already? Yep, we'll see that the ground speed and true airspeed are matching perfectly. Where's the airport? Oh, there it is. I'll tell Max to wave so we can see him as he lands here. And then he said it will only take about 20 minutes till he can talk with us. And we'll see what he saw as far as the land below him. Let me go back to that flight aware, see if it's woke up yet. Sorry if you're in the chat screaming at me. I'm not looking at it right now. I will shortly. Maybe somebody has a... see, flight aware. This one. And QF27. Wednesday, February 8th. Wednesday, February 8th. Okay, 10:55. Okay. Okay, now they show it going right. It's so weird that they just just corrected like that. So now they do have the flight looking like it goes. What is that? I wonder what the dotted line is. Maybe the Great Circle route or something. So they are showing the same flip that we're seeing over here. See if they have it coming in. You know, I'm sure they get their data from the same place.
Not tracked where? Not purple?
Where was it not tracked?
Is that what the purple means?
I don't know. I think that should be tracked. Let's see. I just want to see where this entered. So entered right above this little U here. I'm not going to be able to get a good enough map here, huh? What's this button? Whoa! Aircraft, sunlit, Earth, weather, replace, TFR, neighbor airports. Classic. Oh, there we go. About the same spot, right? Is this the same area here? Oh, cool. That's awesome. I didn't know they have that. Because that would show you the... Oops. Look at that. IFR low in route. Well, let me get off that screen. Interesting. Earth view. Go back here. That angle looks right, though, for both of them? I guess so. Straight up. Okay, I'm done with this one. I don't like that guy. And we'll be landing here shortly. Alright, Max. We copy on the ground. Got a bunch of guys over here about to turn blue. Alright, so we should be about 20 minutes till we get Max lined up. Let me make sure this thing is ready for him. Yes, yes. Okay, we're good there. And I'm going to check out my mail real quick, so just give me a second. I want to read again what that gentleman wanted me to ask. Yeah, this one here. I would read this email, but the guy did not say to keep it private or not, and I don't want to say anything about him. But Basically seems like he works for a high-level computer company and does a lot of analytics, flies between Auckland and Sydney every month for work. Says I manage very complex stuff, problem solve for blank computer company. Very good problem solver. However, this flight issue has bothered me for several years now. Since 1998, I was working for a network in South Island and then satellite company after that. Never made sense. He's talking about a flight that he took from New Zealand, and they didn't arrive in Sydney for nearly 4 hours. Says it's the longest flight ever, made many people late for work. There was no explanation from Air New Zealand. Turns out they had a severe headwind, and the headwinds must have been 250 miles per hour because it slowed down the plane significantly versus what it normally is. But he's just basically saying he wants to talk about this, and he's got some friends in the business or that he's going to talk to. So sorry, I'll have to ask him if I can read more of that. I know that Wolfie doesn't mind if I read his stuff. He talked about the article that I pointed out yesterday in regards to the special ADS transmitters, and he said that the GPS portion is only the receive component. That has been functional for over 20 years worldwide. The transmitter is the new part. Note it states in the article the new system will use 1087 and 10923 megahertz. This is completely independent to GPS. GPS signals use 1575 and 1227. GPS is receive only and works everywhere. I don't understand what that means. What do you mean GPS is receive only? GPS is receive only. Don't you have to transmit where you're at? I don't really know what that means. Then he says using a special ADS-B transmitter. And let me go back and actually show that just so we know we're on the same page here, because that's what I was looking at earlier, exactly what... I want to make sure I don't miss him when he comes on. Okay. See exactly what we're looking at here. So if you go to the about and the how it works, it says it shows data from all around the world. So ADS-B, the primary technology that Flight Radar 24 uses to receive flight information, is called Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast. The ADS-B technology itself is better explained by the image to the right. The aircraft gets its location from a GPS navigation source satellite. The ADS-B transponder on the aircraft transmit a signal containing the location and much more. The ADS-B transponder, okay. The ADS-B signal is picked up by a receiver connected to a Flight 24. Okay. Receiver feeds data to Flight 24. Data is shown on Flight Radar and in Flight Radar apps. ADS-B is a relatively new technology under development, which means that today it's rarely used by air traffic control. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I guess where I'm confused is, so we've had this GPS technology that is cheap. The satellites are up there. It's all easy to do. You can buy a $50 little receiver, a little transmitter thing. It's a little, not a transmitter, that's the wrong word. It's a little receiver, according to Wolfie. And he can, when flying, carry this with him and always have non-interrupted GPS signal. Yet planes don't have that? Or is he saying that it's only a receiver, so it can only display where you're at, but it can't call out where it's at? Maybe that's what he's saying. So, in an MH370 kind of situation, that might have been on the plane that would allow the plane to know where it was at, but doesn't talk back. So it doesn't say where it's at. So my guess, I'm just guessing on that. But that's the only thing that would make sense for this whole article. ADB is a relatively new technology, rarely used. Our estimations show that roughly 70% of all commercial passenger aircraft, 80% in Europe, 60% in the US, are equipped with an ADB transponder. For general aviation, this number is probably below 20%. The percentage of aircraft equipped with ADS-B receivers is steadily increasing, though, as they will become mandatory for most aircraft around the world by 2020, when mandatory ADS-B will replace primary radar as the primary surveillance method used by air traffic control. So why does it say receiver? The percentage of aircraft equipped with a receiver. Is it a receiver or is it a transponder? I guess it's both. Flight Radar 24 has a network of more than 10,000 receivers around the world that receive flight information from aircraft with ADS-B transponders and send this information to our servers. It also uses MLAT in some regions with coverage from several receivers. We also calculate positions of non-ADS-B equipped aircraft with the help of a multilateration. So, this just makes no sense to me. How long have we had planes? And this is something they're just implementing now. And from the sound of it, it is simply a transponder receiver that basically broadcasts its location. I can't imagine how you have flights without doing that already. But on cruising altitude above 30,000 feet, Flight Radar covers 100% of Europe and of the USA. There is also good ADS coverage in Canada, Mexico, Caribbean, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Brazil, South Africa, and MLAT in some regions. We read that. Most parts of Europe and North America are covered. Above about 3,000 to 10,000 feet, there are some MLAT coverages in Mexico, Brazil, etc. And looks like more areas will get MLAT coverage as we continue to add new receivers to our network. North American radar data, in addition to ADS-B and MLAT, we also receive additional live data for flights in North America. This data is based on radar data, not just aircraft equipped with ADS-B transponders, and includes most scheduled and commercial air traffic in the U.S. and Canada airspace, as well as parts of the Atlantic and Pacific. Then there's the FLARM. It's a simpler version of ADS-B with a shorter range, primarily used by smaller aircraft, in most cases gliders. The range is about between 20 and 100 kilometers. Receivers are often installed on small airports with a lot of glider traffic. When an aircraft is flying out of coverage, Flight Radar 24 keeps estimating the position of the aircraft for up to 2 hours if the destination of the flight is known. For aircraft without known destinations, position is estimated for up to 10 minutes. The position is calculated based on many different parameters, and in most cases it's quite accurate, but for long flights, positions can in worst cases can be up to 55 miles off. In settings, there's an option, and we changed that last night from 2-hour estimation to 0. Aircraft visible on Flight Radar 24 within ADS-B coverage. It says when ADS-B was initially launched, it was primarily used in commercial passenger aircraft with 100 plus passengers. An increasing number of aircraft, including smaller aircraft types, are getting these transponders. But until it becomes mandatory, it's up to the aircraft producer and owner to decide if a transponder should be installed or not, which is ridiculous. You can get one for free off this site. You go up here and you say add coverage, and you say you want to apply for one of these things, and they'll send you one to your house, and you put it on your roof. Yet people who are owning planes don't want to put them on their planes. Okay, makes sense. So anyway, talks about the coverage map, and then this is where it talks about the basically the ocean, just saying that they can't track very well out there. So anyway, how close are we to being landed? We should be talking to Mr. Igan pretty soon here. We do have the thing open. He can come in. Okay, ready? Just checking. All right, I'm going to check the chat. Oh. Sorry if I've missed something important. But we'll check it now, and we'll wait for Max to join us. Some people make... It's funny. La Breca. I'm reading Feynman's lectures on physics. Yeah, look at Feynman. Look at all the things he said. Brilliant man. He told you how science is supposed to be, and you guys let it go to be the new religion. Feynman would be he'd be appalled. Okay, let's see what else I can read here. Ouch. He says he is immune to straw man arguments that the flat earth is based on. Okay. Pretty sure that that itself is a straw man, but anyway. Yeah, some people just need to watch what they're saying. I see Daznez says, La Breca, the AE circle model cannot explain southern star rotation, but the 4D square flat Earth can. The only thing I would say about that is you cannot say it cannot explain, because I've come very close to explaining it. I think it makes sense to me. Doesn't mean cannot. It means, maybe the 4D square Earth can better explain it, but with it you have to include some strange phenomenon. Let's see what else I can read. Yes, Andres. I went back up, so if I'm reading something old, I did set everything for Max to contact me. It is the same. I left it up all night, so it's the same Hangout link that he used yesterday, so he knows which one. But he did say it would be 20 to 30 minutes after he landed. So what time did we land? Anybody remember? It's got to be 5 or 10 minutes away. Yeah, this one. Yeah, we did all used to be globe heads. That's absolutely true, Nathan. I just think that the difference is that once you've looked into what it is you believe, that for some people it's very easy to understand when you've been duped, when you cannot find what you would consider proof. And some people consider numbers on paper proof, and that's on them. That's on you. Maybe you didn't have the same physics teacher I had that said you can prove anything with mathematics. He showed an equation on the chalkboard or the whiteboard that showed that an elephant can hang from a blade of grass off the edge of a cliff. And maybe he had unintended consequences to that lesson, but I certainly took it from right then as understanding that, okay, math can say a lot. Math can prove anything if you wanted it to. The problem is that the onus is on us to make sure that it is actually discussing or computing reality. Let's see here. Keep reading. That's pretty good. Simple Question says that the Falcons won the other day. All you have to do is do the math. I think I struggle with the idea of the sports is fixed by the numbers. But I do think that Super Bowl was completely and totally scripted. As far as the outcome, not necessarily the score, but certainly if you've ever watched football in your entire life, there's a certain set of rules you go by when you have the lead and the ball. With as many seconds left or minutes that are left, they could have ran the ball like any other coach in the history of football would have done. Run the ball 2 more times, even if you gain 0 yards, chip shot, field goal, you're up by 11, the game's out of hand, you win. To call a passing play where your quarterback drops back and gets sacked, pushing you out of field goal range is what you would do if you were throwing the game. So that's my opinion. Let's see here. What else we got? Yeah, Max is supposed to report as soon as he finds a Wi-Fi signal. I wouldn't say math is stupid, but it's it's cracked up to be. You should be able to do a simple test in any 3D modeling program to see which model works. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll say satellites aren't, whatever satellites are, they could be balloons, they could be high altitude planes, but there's no reason to believe in an orbit. I just don't, just because Newton said that you can shoot cannonballs and they'll go around the Earth, not enough for me. Outer space is a hoax? Huh? I don't think it's what we were told. Again, I don't know if you guys heard the video that my wife and I made when they're showing these two kids and the teachers are teaching them with basically a big circle hula hoop, and on the hula hoop they place saran wrap. Okay, so yeah, you've got this hula hoop with saran wrap and they put a big ball in the middle. I'm sure you've seen experiments like this. And then they throw these little balls around and the kids are seeing the orbits, and they say, why do these balls go around? And the kid says, because the weight in the middle. And they say, yes, exactly. So the weight causes the elliptical orbits of these balls, and then you see the balls crashing into the middle ball. So one of the kids says, well, how come the Earth and Mars don't crash into the sun? Decent question. And then the teacher says, well, it's because in space there is no plastic sheet. There is no friction. So the planets just keep going in orbit because there is no sheet. And you see these kids with this blank look on their face, and I'm just dying, please ask the question, please. And they don't ask it. And that question should be, well, if there's no plastic sheet in space, then what is the big item weighing down? What is causing orbits? You can't just pick and choose when you want to use examples like Einstein saying that there's a fabric of space-time, but space is nothing. So it's the fabric of nothing, and matter is bending nothing, causing what we see as gravity. It is complete and total garbage that is just word salad. It's not reality. There is nothing that can bend nothing. Matter cannot bend nothing, causing orbits of planets with no friction. Again, we've got all these so-called laws. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So somebody tell me what the equal and opposite reaction to the Earth spinning is. There isn't one. Just like they tell us that we live in this duality. Everything's got an opposite, hot and cold, night and day. Well, what's the opposite of water? What's the opposite of electricity? So, these things are all just words, and these guys act like they are geniuses. Let me keep going here. So, sphere is acceptable. We've never been out of low Earth orbit. I'm not sure such thing exists, low Earth orbit. But could be. I wouldn't know. And if you explore what you can actually see, you cannot see two rotational poles on a flat plane. I mean, if they taught us that you could, then it wouldn't be a very good deception. So sometimes you need to think out of the box. You're saying that like it's just a matter of fact. Well, to me, I would be able to say to you that you cannot go 2.2 million miles per hour and not feel it. So aren't we in the same boat then? It's a flat realm. I lean towards that myself. Shamanic medicine, that's what Tesla said. It's not a planet, it's a realm. It's the reason I've always liked that idea is because if somebody asks me, Jerem, what's 50 million miles that way? It's a very hard question to answer, especially when you're basically a flat earther. But I don't think there is something 50 million miles that way. That the Earth is all there is. There is nothing else. So when somebody says, what's under the Earth? I don't know. It's all there is. So there is nothing under it. I certainly don't believe in the endlessness of space, quadrillion of quintillion of sextillion miles away. And we just happen to live in the 50-year period of time that humans have discovered this. 50 years ago. Did you know this? This is an interesting point. I didn't know this till recently. Did you know that like in a few hundred years, maybe it's maybe it's 1,000 years. I'm not sure the exact time, but in a few years, humans will not see any of the galaxies. If for instance, even if you believe what cosmology believes now, if we didn't write down exactly what we observe, people 1,000 years from now would not see any galaxies because they would have moved so far away that they can't see them anymore. They just would have no clue. Basically, we're lucky enough to live, according to them, in that 50-year period of time where we're able to know all of a sudden that the Earth is 4.54 billion years old. Which, of course, we don't have a clue. Anybody who believes that really needs to look inside themselves and really understand that you are just believing men who have such little evidence. I mean, somebody give me any evidence for the Earth being 4.54 billion years, and if they start talking about the decay of elements, then ask them how they know that element decay has always been the same. You've been paying attention for 100 years. Think of 4.54 billion years. We've been doing climate change or climate data for 100 years, and they want to say humans are causing climate change on the planet. How the hell would you know that? You wouldn't. There's no possible way you could ever know what the planet was doing for 4 billion years before you got, even 4.5 billion years. Just take that little tiny 0.4 at the end, you would not be able to come up with any kind of data. Again, I've seen it done where they've measured lava, came out of a volcano, dried, they tested it, it came back at 400 and something million years old. So once you see that one time, then you should understand. And the way science works is when their numbers match the expectations, they publish them. When they don't, they run them again. They throw them away and run them again. You have actual scientists, actual paleontologists who are testing dinosaur bones, who are finding carbon material, that they're testing it and it's coming back at, less than 50,000 years old. What happens to that scientist? Fired. Sorry, we don't disprove our axioms. We don't disprove our religious beliefs. We confirm them and we accept them. We say evolution has evidence even though it's got zero. And that's why science is a joke. They had every chance to be what we all were taught by simply following the scientific method. That's it. It's that easy. Scientific method, follow it, and everything is great and wonderful and grand. But instead, when you teach people that science follows it, well, then you've got all of us in school that say, oh, wow, that's freaking awesome. Scientific method is the way to go. Who can argue with that? That's the way to find any truth. And so when they pass things out, here's the globe. We know we live there because science has tested it. Here's this, here's that. You just take it because you're like, well, yeah, I was taught the scientific method. Why would I question? If they went through the scientific method, then they know the truth. Unfortunately, start looking back and you realize that scientific method is not being followed. And it's starting with certain foundational beliefs. And it's ending with data that matches preconceived notions or it's thrown out. And so you just get crap on top of crap on top of crap, where all your questions could be answered with placing the Earth at the middle. The Earth at the center, all of a sudden every observation makes sense. Galaxies moving away, the red shifting. You don't need dark energy. You don't need dark matter. Everything falls into place perfectly, except for all of a sudden there's purpose. Heaven forbid. Oh my goodness. Purpose to life? Nope, sorry, it has to be completely accidental. This is our materialistic worldview. There's no such thing as God. It's just a thought in your head. Nothing can exist outside of your thoughts. Your brain and your mind is in your head because we say so. And we're going to pretend like we have evidence for it. But we don't. We make it up. See what time we're looking. How long has it been? 6:17 to 10. Oh, so it's only been 15 minutes. Okay. Let me keep reading here. Thank Jive Miguel, a little funny one there. NASA balloon, probably. We don't move. I agree. Let's see what else we got here. Look at the number of trolls trying to overwhelm and shut this chat. Yeah, I'd say let them come. I mean, that's why I leave my comments open. I think it shows they don't come with facts and evidence. They come with I think they don't think we went to school. They think that we didn't hear the same thing that they heard. We all went to school. We all were taught what you were taught. We just questioned it. That's the only difference. So when you come and bring the exact same things we've already been taught, we understand that. Although, again, I learned something recently, again, just talking about that three-body problem. They can't even mathematically and analytically come up with a solution for a three-body problem as simple as the Earth and the Moon. And I mean simple as in what we were kind of lied to and told, that these things are very understandable. They're easy, three-body problems. Each thing has its gravity. That's, makes sense. They cannot come up with a solution for three bodies, yet we've got a solar system and a universe and galaxies, and we're supposed to believe that they can figure out any of it. I mean, just when you look at the whole idea of we see from the Earth all galaxies moving away from us, which, ask anybody in their right frickin' mind, what does that mean? I see everything moving away from me. Well, it means I'm the center. No, actually what it means is we all exist on a balloon, and that each location on that balloon would see the same thing from their vantage point, that always everything is moving away from them, because we can't possibly have a unique position here on the Earth. Cannot possibly. We have to stay away from the absolute horror of a unique position. Let's see here. Dave texted me. Maybe he's talked to Max, who should be joining us soon. What? I don't know what he's sending me a video. Washington Post. Deep space rocket? What are you talking about? Oh, that looks pretty awesome. I'll bring that up on here. Washington Post. Something happened with some NASA rocket. Where is my mouse? There we go. It was Washington Post. David, have you talked to Max at all? Did he contact you? NASA facility with deep... Oh, sorry, I don't know what I'm reading here. So let's see what this video is. Don't worry, I'm watching in case Max comes back.
It is a big day for basketball as Anton Miller is getting ready to sign a $1 billion contract with the Cincinnati Sabres.
And then I just need 11 more right here. So it's going to be the next 4 pages. You're going to be signing each one 4 times and then 2 more on the second page. Sign here, here, and down here. Exactly.
Look at that crane.
Get him. Get him. Get him. I overtook the codes at HARP and brought this on NASA. Mentally, of course. Man, those things are crazy. It's gonna go right through that structure.
Yeah, I know.
I said I wanted to see wreckage. Damaged the NASA facility in New Orleans.
It is a big day for basketball as Anton Miller is getting ready to sign a $1 billion.
Stop it. Whoa. There's Max.
Jaron,
What's up, my brother?
how are Hey, brother, I'm here. Santiago.
How was the flight?
Terrible, long, cramped. What can I say?
Did you get some sleep?
It was short. It was short though. It was about, from my calculations, it was about 11 hours and 10 minutes.
That was what
It
the
was
stopwatch said?
The stopwatch stopped because the phone ran out of charge.
Okay.
So when I got here, the phone wasn't operating. So
One
I
second.
guess
turn
it
up your
stopped
volume.
halfway through it when I pulled it out of my pocket. But by my calculations, it was 11 hours and 10 minutes or 11 hours and 15 minutes. So how long's the hangout been open? We got here about probably half an hour ago. It took us to get through security and get here to the bar. Here I am at the Gatsby.
Awesome.
Santiago.
Yeah, the
This lady, what's up?
I'm so happy.
This is Santiago? This Santiago? Santiago. See? That's it. See?
There you go.
Santiago. That's the waitress.
We awesome. We totally believe you. Hey, let me ask
Yeah,
you
well,
a few questions
here I am. So,
based on the tracking that we saw. Do you remember seeing land after you left Sydney?
No.
The-
You fly over the top of New Zealand. But that's it.
You
It's
went
water
over
all
New
the way.
Zealand?
You go over the very top of it. You can sort of see it, but I didn't see it this time. My window seat didn't have a window. The
Yeah, I
window
kind of
was
saw it was like
I was
blocked or
right in
something.
front of the bulkhead, so the window was kind of there,
Mm-hmm.
So it was a total mess up. So anyway, I didn't get to look out of the window much. It was dark most of the way. So, but no, I didn't see any land. I never see any land.
Yeah, what was weird is that the
Going back the other way, it's daylight all the way. So you're sitting right on the speaker.
no problem.
Yeah, so going back the other way in the daytime, it's daylight all the way. But coming over this way, it's usually dark the whole way.
Because
So,
the path.
how long has the hangout been open? How long did the time take for you?
We went till maybe we went a total of 6 hours since it started, and then we just held it till you gave back. The weird thing that we saw was the tracking originally showed the flight heading south of New Zealand, and then all of a sudden at some point it moved the flight up as if it was crossing New Zealand. Quite a big change.
It does normally cross New Zealand. It doesn't go south of New Zealand. It crosses, like you can usually see the North Island out the right-hand side. So it's a little bit north of New Zealand it goes. Almost over the top.
Right.
Almost over the top of the...
Any readings from your compass that you can tell us about?
The compass looked normal. There was no compass on the screen. It was a crappy little readout, the crappiest readout, really crappy flight. Tiny little screen, about 5 inches by 6 inches, about 5 inches from my face, with no compass on it, like about half the flight information you normally get.
Right.
I'm looking down there. I should be looking here. But half the flight information you normally get. So I've got a shot of the compass, but my phone's out of charge now. So
Sure.
I'll wait till
Do you
I get
remember
charged
what direction you showed?
It was pointing east, northeast. So it was more east than north, but it was slightly off east. So it was sort of east northeast is what it was.
And when was that?
I looked at it twice. That was about after 2 movies, so probably 4 hours into the flight.
Okay. And then you said you looked at it twice?
I looked at it twice. It was east, northeast again. It was still the same.
Okay.
It was very dark as well, so it was very cramped, and it was just a really horrible day.
Yeah, I don't envy you.
It was really, I just could not wait to get off that airplane.
Yeah, but I took a 16-hour flight from the Philippines, and it was like I got you feel like you got your ass beat by the time you land. You just...
Yeah, it's fucked, I do that on the way. When I go to England, it's like 16 hours to Dubai or something from Australia.
Oh, it's miserable.
It's terrible. It's just miserable, yeah. But that was good, man. 11 hours and 10 minutes. That's really good. The flight's scheduled for 12 hours and 12 hours and 30 minutes. So scheduled flight time.
Yeah, we're just gonna.
We were late leaving. We were like
an hour almost.
Probably almost an hour late in leaving, and we actually arrived here at 10:55 when we were supposed to arrive at 11:20. So we arrived 25 minutes early after leaving an hour late.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it seems like
Well,
we did see the trade winds that were blowing, a good 200 miles per hour at the winds
Yeah,
back.
that's
So
what the pilot said that we had some really good tailwinds on the way.
is that what he
So
said?
that confirms this flight, brother.
Yeah, we appreciate you
It
doing that.
confirms this flight and it confirms the time it takes.
Yep.
So what data that gives you, but it confirms it's a real flight.
Well, that's good because I don't think anybody will be saying that the flight doesn't exist anymore or that.
I hope not. That's sort of it does damage to whatever you're doing. That sort of information, putting it out there, it's disinformation.
Absolutely.
It does damage and it detrays from anything you're trying to do. So you got to clear out the noise. That's why I did that other video to just try to say, look, fake flight claim debunked because I do this flight all the time. I'm telling you it exists, and I don't do non-existent flights.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, anyway, that shows.
Did
that,
it?
I'm gonna go and have a cup of tea and
Did it show
try to get this
any
flight
flight
out of my hair.
speed or anything on your readout? Do you remember seeing any speed at all?
Oh, mate, I don't remember seeing the speed.
And then when you charge
Honestly,
up,
it was a crappy little. It
yeah,
was
we
all
saw it.
blurry
It
too.
like,
It was all staticky, and it was like, what the fuck is this Qantas?
Yeah. So anything you took pictures of, just send it to Dave when you get your phone charged up, and he'll send it over to me so I can take a look.
No worries, brother. I didn't take a picture of the screen though because there was no compass on it, and it was really staticky.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to even look at it. It was so staticky. So it was a really crappy, like the crappiest entertainment system I've seen. Didn't even have games. They had about 4 games. There's normally at least play Tetris or something.
Right.
No Tetris on an aircraft. We play chess with a machine or something.
How full was the plane, you think?
How cool?
How full?
Full. Oh, full. Totally full.
Oh, totally full.
Yeah, it's always full. I couldn't see any spare seats. It's always totally full. This flight's always booked out.
And you didn't see anything out the windows? No icebergs, no nothing?
No, I didn't see any ice. Well, I didn't. I was in a bad spot. Like you might have seen it.
Yeah, we saw it. It looked like it was like half
blocked. I didn't
blocked.
actually have a window next to me.
Right, you would
and
have
then
to.
when I looked out, there was the wind.
Right.
It's like you see a little triangle of water, So that's not what I planned at all. I thought I'll get a seat near the back of the plane on the right-hand side. I'll be good away from the winds. No, it didn't work out that way at all.
Well, like you said, at least we proved the flight exists and that the time that it took, which can be proven with both these videos. So appreciate the help a lot.
All good, brother. I'm going to go and get this flight out of my hair. I got to catch another flight in 90 minutes.
Okay, Max. Appreciate your work, and I'll tell everybody where they can find your stuff.
Not a lot, brother.
All right.
Soon.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
All right, so Max Igan, everyone. Let me get you his information so that you have it. Want to thank him for doing that. And again, hopefully nobody is saying that this flight doesn't exist. I don't think I think Max thinks that people are saying that more than it's actually happening. That was something that was said, 2 years ago, and it's been proven now that it does exist. And so don't hope nobody's saying it doesn't. I definitely believe that it does exist. I think that there is some issues with it that maybe Max doesn't see. Max sees it as, the plane does what they say it does. It gets there in the time it says it does. Therefore, everything else is probably true. But I do agree with him on the point that whatever we're trying to do, which is, uncover the truth through layers of lies, if we throw lies on top of that or things that can be debunked easily, like the flight doesn't exist, nobody flies it, it stops somewhere, it gets some refueling, those kind of things are just hurting ultimately our goal. We're doing the same thing that we're calling people out for doing. So his site is the Crow House, thecrowhouse.com. When you go there, that's Max Egan's homepage. So hopefully, is that on the screen? Yeah. So he does great work, some of the best work you can find as far as Gaza and the Middle East. So definitely check him there, and you can find him on YouTube under the Crow House as well, and Facebook.com/Max Egan. Is it Max-Egan? Oh, it's Max-Egan. Oh, yeah, you'll have to just search it. But you'll see he's got the Facebook page there, so check him out. Like I said, he does great work, and he is a truth seeker. That's what he's doing. He's trying to help us find the truth the best he can, and that's what we're doing too. So thank you, Max, for all your help. I don't know if he's got any other sites. Doesn't look like it. He has done some great movies, so check out his movies. He's done some 2 or 3 awesome films. I think you can find them all on his YouTube. But he's got good content. So I'm going to keep reading the chat here and see if we're all squared away as far as that goes. This again, I'll mention this page if you want to learn about what we're being told with the speeds, because I do think that there's an error there. In my mind, the ground speed should match the true airspeed, or at least come pretty close, not be, half the amount. You can't have a true airspeed of 1,000 miles per hour and a ground speed of 500, but that seems to be what they're showing. I'm just going to check a couple other flights here and see if I can see anything. QFA8. Because what I'm trying to see here is if the same kind of indicated airspeed, if that kind of stuff is being shown on every flight. Let's see here. Get one of these to come up. Or not. Hello. Let's reload this. So this flight here, we're looking at London to Chicago. Again, you've got the matching true airspeed and ground speed, which makes sense. To me, let's pull this up. And let's go with a past flight. Okay, and let's just press play and see how this flight goes. Again, awfully convenient or true, one way or the other. When this plane flies its great circle route from London to Chicago, it just so happens that if you look at a flat Earth map, this is a straight line. This is a straight flight between London and Chicago on a flat Earth map. On a globe, it goes the great circle route. So you'll see here that the true airspeed is pretty much playing right in line with the ground speed. It loses its tracking over the ocean. And then when it pops back here, we're going to see it right about now. Should pick back up. And okay, we should start seeing the true airspeed again. Are we there? Yeah, see, I'm not seeing any true airspeed on this one either. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not really sure why they shut that off. Why we're not getting... It was showing it here. So it's got a true airspeed of... Oh, what's that? 8 something? Oh, that was a big one. I can't get to stay there. Come on. Come on. So right there, 11... Man, being sensitive. Come on. Where was that? Did say 11 something, I think. I saw 945 there, 1121. There we go. Oh, I can't hold it there. There's a 990, 1121. Okay, there. Oh, 1124. Hard to understand why that is, double the ground speed. Your ground speed should be pretty close to that. Let's go find another flight. And as I'm reading the chat here, if you've got any opinions, type them in and I will try and read as many as I can before I go back to bed. Let's see here. What flight is this? So this one's Paris to... Where is that? Pointe-Pitre? You ever heard of that place? Pointe-Pitre. Don't know where that is. Let's see here. Let's go here. Looks like a long flight. Looks like another 11 hours or so. So this flight is going 4,200 miles, 8:58, 9 hours. Okay. So we're getting, oops, press play. So you'll see the true airspeed here. 717, 625, 555, 555, kind of matching your ground speed. Staying really close. 550, 548, 550. And then it's not showing anymore. And it's going to jump to its home right here in a second. See if it shows anything. Nope. Let's see if we rock it and get anything. Nope. Nothing there. Yeah, it's not really sure why that goes out. Well, then it's already landed. Interesting. Another thing I know that you can do on here, I was doing it earlier, is you can actually put in only the flights that are going a certain speed. Let's try that and see. Oops, that's not what I wanted to hit. Go back to the tracker. So for instance, you can do only flights going above, let's say 700 miles per hour. So we'll go to filters, add new filter, we'll go speed, and we'll move this thing all the way here. So we're going to go only flights going above, let's go 720. Turn the filter on. Hello? Oh, there we go. Give it a second, see if there's any flights going that fast. Oh, earlier it showed some. Let's go above 680. Add, which one? Erase that one. And filters on. Whoops. Wow, a ton. That's all the flights going above 620. Oh, no, here we go. That's better. So a couple flights, so only 2. We've got this one going from somewhere I've never heard of to somewhere I've never heard of. Short flight. Right now it's ground speed 791, true airspeed 1168. Everybody see that? So this flight here is moving faster than people say flights can exist. Now 292. Still going 791 there. We're now to 1168 at 16,000 feet.
That's not good.
That's crazy.
It's gonna crash into something.
Yeah, I mean, that just tells me it's just a mess.
What about?
Let's go look at the other flight. Where was the other one?
barrier?
Yeah, I don't know. That's way over the sound barrier. Even this 791 at that height is over the sound barrier. This one here certainly doesn't look like it goes as fast as they said it was. How about this one? This one's going 839 ground speed, flying from San Salvador to Mexico City. It's also at a very low altitude. And is that all of them? Earlier, it had quite a few, and I bumped this up to 700. Let's go 7, add, erase, off, on. So you can also do things like, let's go altitude and say only planes above 40. 40,000 there. Add that, erase this, turn this on. So yeah, 41,000 feet or above, quite a few planes. This one here is at 41,000 feet. Let's see, this one here, 41,000 feet. This one here, 41,000 feet. See if there's anything down south. What's this one? Hawaiian Airlines. Where'd that come from?
Texas?
What airport is this?
I think it's Texas.
Oh, Vegas.
Oh. Oh, there's a triangle in there.
I wonder if that's the Great Circle route for there. How do you look at that again? I forgot. There's like a show route. That wouldn't make much sense as a Great Circle route, though. How do you show? Oh, you have to go. Let me go replay, and then it'll show me. So let's go to this one. Yeah, they didn't follow anything close to it. Let's see, Great Circle distance, and how do you show the route? This one? Show Great Circle route. So, I mean, this is the Great Circle route up here like this, and the plane we just saw, which was, shoot, I don't know why this bottom screen is not working. So it's going up here, upper arc, and the one that we just saw was this one. It's going nowhere near. And the Great Circle route was this way. So, could be flying around weather patterns and stuff, so who knows? Let's read back to the chat over here. We don't move, everything moves around. It's flat for real. Good. Let's see here. You were on for 5 hours yesterday. What the F? Did the Earth change shape again? No, I was on yesterday at the beginning of the flight and on today when it landed. Anyway. Or you can have both planes visible at the edges if you shift the stars around 90 degrees, but that means every single star, Polaris included, is in the wrong place. I don't know what that means. They pay people to be here to try. I mean, one thing that's important for people to realize as far as the southern stars, if there was a southern star point that things rotated around that was in the same direction for everybody on Earth, that would be an absolute issue as far as the flat Earth map goes. But if you look at it and go into magnetic declination, that each of the three locations, talking about Australia, South Africa, and South America, are all having night at a different time, number one. So when people say, well, you can see the southern star from all locations at the same time, well, it's not night for all three at the same time, so that's not true. And they're all looking in a different direction. If it was as simple as they all looked south, then that's exactly where the star was. But look into magnetic declination and you'll see that they are looking in vastly different directions. And get down towards Antarctica and you'll start to see magnetic declination as bad as 180 degrees, which means if you're looking at your compass and it's telling you which way is north, turn around because you're 180 degrees wrong. And these are the kind of things that people just call fact, proof, evidence right there. Shouldn't question it. I mean, think about this. For as perfect as they say the globe works, many people might not realize that when the sun is rising or setting, the sun that you see hasn't come up over the horizon yet. That's what science tells you. And if you want to just eat that up and say it's true, more power to you. To me, I see when the sun rises, that's the sun. They'll tell you it's still below the horizon. Why? Because it doesn't work geometrically the way that they tell you. So they have to add refraction. They have to tell you, no, well, The sun's actually below the horizon. You just see it above because of atmosphere, because of lensing, and when it's setting, it's because the times don't work. Just like if everything worked perfectly, like they say, then wouldn't the equinox have equal day and night everywhere you were? And it doesn't. It simply does not. And that should be an issue. Should be an absolute issue. In fact, if everyone sees the sun rise east on the equinox, then the sun would go above everyone's head, not just above the person at the equator's head, and move north for a south person and move south for a north person. It's little things like that that they've been explained away and taught to us as proofs or evidence, and they're not. Let's see here. Keep reading. I agree. That's a good point. The Dalmatinuts. I don't know what that is. He made a great point. He says mathematics are man-made. There's a lot of people that will try and tell you that math is not man-made. And I don't know how anybody could say that. The idea of math and the numbers that we have and the entire idea of 10 being a double digit, that's all man-made. There's nothing in nature that tells you that 10 should be a double digit or that there should be a ones place and a tens place. If you understand, old Mayan math and base 60, base 12, it's all invented. So they might say, oh, we have 10 fingers. Well, we have 10 fingers and 10 toes too. So, it could be a base 20 system, or we have 2 eyes, so it could be a base 2 system. You just don't know what was going to be invented. But the entire idea, if you had a bunch of bananas lying on the ground, and this is way back, thousands of years ago before anybody knew anything, if you had to come up with a system of counting those bananas, that you would not come up with 10 being the double digit at all. You could decipher that or depict that any way you wanted. But math is not inherent in the universe. It's simply a language, much like Spanish. Can somebody say that Spanish is always true? Well, it depends what you're talking about. If somebody is speaking Spanish, then the Spanish is true. But it doesn't mean that what they're saying is reality. And it's the same thing with math, is that just because somebody is speaking a language, the language itself may be true, meaning just like somebody in Spanish writes a complete sentence, and so that statement is a true Spanish statement. It's in a complete sentence. It works by all the rules of Espanol. But the content of that doesn't necessarily prove reality. Could say, El perro es rojo. And maybe it's not. So math works the same way. It's a language used to describe reality. So when somebody tells you that the sun is 93 million miles away, and the proof of that is because this mathematic equation, which tells you that the Earth fits in there 1.3 million times, and that there's a great attractor 100 quadrillion times the size of the sun, that's not proof, that's just a language. So next time, tell them, you know what, you're speaking Spanish. Let's see here. 11 hours, 16 minutes according to Flight Radar 24. Yeah, I think he had 11 what? What did he tell me? 11:10. Pretty quick. The stars rotate on a wheel, real or imaginary, with its axis running above the parallel to the prime meridian. That's true. Okay. Ray said, Jaron, a lot of stuff don't make sense to you. Good. Like why you wrote that comment. Add that to the list of things that don't make sense to me. Education is for idiots. Jesus is Satan. Nice. I'm not paid, I'm not a shill. I am debating because, to me, logic-based argumentation that looks at facts should show the correct model. I agree. So, where are the facts that tell you that there's a great attractor? Where are the facts that say stars are 25 trillion miles at the closest? I read that last night. Jesus isn't all Satan, just has a Satan imprint on the light he represents. Whoa, that's deep. You obviously haven't studied the model. Magnets do have a preferred shape. Okay, you know you are a paid op. Okay.
We're not getting our paycheck.
Missa, toss me a wrench, please. Missa wasn't in the chat. Ouch. Yeah, actually, Daznez is a great channel to check out. He does some awesome work, and he's been talking about the 4D square Earth. I still have much more research to do on it. I had problems with it before, not understanding the north-south connection and how basically there would, in my mind, need to be a teleportation. But I talked to Daznez the other night and kind of better understand what they're talking about, so I'm going to be looking into that. Because, I'll be the first one to admit that the Gleason's map has its issues, is in referring to observations. But that's why we just need more people looking into it. We'll get to the truth eventually. Yeah, this guy says, you're not going to convince us of the fairy tale again. We were already duped by it, no more. Yep, unless they can show proof. Red Tag Hewer, thank you for your comment. Says, this is rubbish. Nothing has been proved. Pointless buy. Can't imagine taking time out of my day to write that on a chat, but anyway.
Especially when it's pointless.
Let's see here. Globlings. It's a funny word. I really do think I like spheritard, but it's just me. I took the R word challenge, but I never took the S word challenge. Why do you guys debate this? Because truth is important to some people, and when you find out you've been lied to on a massive level, probably piss you off. See here, it's not a debate, I agree. Funny. It's not a debate, it's an exploration of truth. Yeah, I mean, again, I've said this a million times, but that should be science. You should take whatever the current belief is, so whatever somebody believes somewhere in the world, and you should try and attack it. And the worst that possibly happens is that you prove that the belief was with merit. And then you can feel better. It's such a better feeling to confirm your beliefs. That's why it's important. And that's how you get to the truth. If you just let Bill Nye tell you what the truth is, then you might be deceived at some point, and you'll look back and go, oh man, well, my problem was I believed that guy. And you should look at your life history and start realizing that believing any human being is pretty foolish, because usually they have ulterior motives, including power, money, fame, riches, glory, women, you name it. Usually you knowing the truth is not on the list, anybody's list. So it's going to be up to you. It's on you to ensure that you believe the truth. So question everything. It can't hurt. And if you find out that somebody's lying about something, then you can expose it, and it just makes the world a better place. Let's see here. Quiet down now, DJ Tricks. And no such thing as inheritance. Uh-oh, what happened? I lost my chat spot. Great. Pro Veritas said, Jaren, final word on this. Would this flight work on a flat Earth map or not? Well, it depends on what you consider speed. What do you consider to be plausible? Why are they showing these true airspeeds? Yeah, I mean, on a flat Earth map, even if you take... I guess I can bring that up real quick and just show this. Because, again, we don't know the size. A lot of people like to take the flat Earth map and they say, because the North Pole to the South Pole on the globe is 12,450 miles, that means that, let me bring up this map here. Right, so on the globe, the North Pole to South Pole is 12,450. And so many people might say, okay, well then on the Gleason's map, the North Pole to the edge would be the same, which would give the Earth a total diameter of 25,000 or 24,901. Oops, I'm not showing this on my. Great. 1 second. Let me get over here and add this. That one. This one. Window. This one. And it should be here. Yeah. Okay. And let's transition that. All right. So we're looking at. Oh shoot. Let me change the size a little bit. Hopefully that's showing, but I can't tell. Okay, so most people would say that, like I said, that if the distance from here on a globe is, I'm going to wait a second because I don't see this playing live. There it is. Okay, we're fine. So if this distance on a globe is 12,450, then they're going to say that this here equals 24,901. But then you would take your total of 24,901 as the actual diameter, and so half that would be, so if we're doing pi r, 2 pi r, so it'd be 6.28 times the radius of 12,450 is going to give us a circumference of 78,000, approximately 78,000 miles around. Okay. Now the problem with that is, based on, explorers' logs, we are seeing at most, 55 to 60,000 miles around. That's what Captain Cook, Captain Wilkes, the British Challenger ship. So to me, I think that the circumference would be more along the lines of 55,000, basing that just off of their ship logs and everything else. So let's see. So if we take this as being, and remember they can't be sailing their boats on the ice, so this line would have to be inside the ice line all around like this. So this circumference of this circle would be 55,000, let's say. So now we'll take 55,000 and multiply that by 0.318, which is going to give us our diameter of 17,490. And then let's divide that by 2 to get our radius of 8745. So that means that this distance here would be 8745. So let's see if that matches. Knowing the azimuthal equidistant map means that any point from the center is equal to the globe. So if we're going to go from here to Antarctica passing through South America, let's just go to just South America. If we, oops, I screwed that up. So let's see what, I'm going to open, you guys aren't going to see it, I'm just doing Google Earth real quick so I can see what it shows. That distance is North Pole to the tip of South America. So we'll grab this bar and we're going North Pole to the tip, South America. Okay, there. So I've got 9,608 is that distance, and what, I don't remember what we said it was, 8,000 something. So, then you're a little bit closer. It's not that far-fetched. If we said, well, yeah, plus we had this extra distance, I just went to the tip. So, it's almost equal. And in fact, if you take this number here, and you wanted to know, so we said this is a circle of circumference 55,000, and you wanted to figure out what the area would be. I believe it comes out to almost the same thing. I forget how you get area of a circle. Let me see here. Area of a circle, it's like pi cubed or something. Area of a circle. Okay, so enter the radius, which we said was, shoot, now I need to figure that out again. So I was at 55,000 times 0.318. It's going to give me the 17,490 divided by 2 is 8745. Okay, so the 8745 is the radius, and that gives us a, yeah, that's what I said, area of a circle. Why is this thing not working? 8745. Why this calculator doesn't work, I don't know. Find the area of a circle with a rate. Oh, no, that's not what I'm thinking. Sorry. What is this thing? Isn't this a calculator? Radius, 8745. Enter. Enter. It doesn't want me to do that. Oh, right here, okay. Equals 2.40253 times 10 to the 8th. 2, 3, 4, 10, 12. Just seeing if that matches the globe. Times 10 to the 8th power. Nope, get this back. It's 240 million? 240 million, and let me look at Earth area. And they've got it at 200 million. Okay, well, I thought that number was closer, but it doesn't matter. So, anyway, so when we're talking about does this flight work, basically Max flew from here in Sydney, don't do that, to here. Okay, so if we had to figure out how far this flight was on a flat Earth map, see, so let's take this distance here. I'm just grabbing half this bar because this is the hard part. You can't, can't gauge this distance. Looks to me to be about, let's see if we take this, that goes to that line, 2, going through the middle, almost 2.5. And we said this total across was 17,000. So that would be, and we said 8, and this is 1 and, see if I can get this right to there, 1 1/3. And what did we say that was? 8, 375, so it'll be 9. So what is that going to be? Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out in my head here. So this is half that distance. And this distance here. Yeah, so I have it, it's got to be 12,000 miles? 11,000 miles?
Yeah, 11.
Too bad I can't bend this and get, because we know the equator distance is correct. Or, pretty close. So if the equator is, but I wouldn't be able to bend out that line. Let me see. Oops. Where's the equator? About there, plus a little bit more this side. There. That's right? Equator-wise?
Mm-hmm.
So if the equator is 24,901 around. So it's certainly not, is that red line half of that circle?
Maybe.
Oh, I think you can do it, but that might work here. So if this line is cutting the middle of it, let me see, this one here cuts the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So then half of this, oopsie. Yeah, the only way it would work is if you have the plane going 1,000 miles per hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 segments. 24,901. So it's 12,450. 12,450 would be 12,450 is 12 of these line segments. 12 of that there. And I'm doing this a weird way, sorry. But I think it's the best way to get it. So we're going to go here. Take this out. Copy. Paste. Okay, so 12 of these is 12,450. So 12 of those, and let me see here, so 12 from there, 12,450. So if each of those is 12,450 divided by 12 is 1,037, and times 2 is 2075. So 2075 for these two here. $20.75 for these two here. $20.75 paste. So put me right here, there. So it's going to be one and more, a little bit extra. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which of these was what? 1, 2. So these are 21, 2, 3, 4. So 4 times 20.75, and then you're going to have a little bit more than right to there, a little bit more than one more. So it's 20.75 times 4, 8,300 plus more than 1. So that's plus 1037 at minimum. That puts us at 9337. So 9337 plus whatever extra bit is here, which looks like it's going to be, goes to there, to there. So, another little bit. So, probably 9,600. You could even say 10 to be safe. So this distance is 10,000 miles. He did it in 11 hours, right about 11 hours. And so if you were to take that distance of 10,000 divided by 11 hours, plane's going to be moving 909. So, does it work on a flat Earth map is the way that we have been shown the flat Earth map. It depends on what you think about speed. I got to do some more research, but I certainly think that there's something up with the idea of ground speed and why they're hiding those speeds. And again, it isn't necessarily 909 as in going over the speed limit or going over the sound barrier. If the plane is going, 600 or 660, and then having the wind carry it at 200 or 300 miles per hour, but 300 miles per hour, I don't think anybody's reporting winds that. So 660 would be 240. Even that, I don't think that they can bank on that. So to me, I would say that the distance needs to be 9,000 miles to even start thinking that it's a possibility. And it certainly doesn't look like on the Gleason's map that that would be 9,000. But again, we don't know the shape of the continents. We don't know if, nobody would know, for instance, if this was actually, I'll just give an example here. If this was more like this, nobody would really know. And you make up little bits like that, and this is maybe a little bit out more. Who knows? You don't know. You can't know. Because again, everything is with GPS. And so anything that they wanted to tell you where something is, that as long as it matches GPS, then that's where you're going to think. And even if there is more land, a lot of people talk about more land, that if you picture, let's say there's water out here, and that there is a continent out here. Well, you would never know, because you are trapped by the system that we've been told is all that there is. So no matter where you go, you have a grid system that tells you where you are. If you started to dead reckon and say you were headed south here, you're not going to get out here to this new continent, because the compass is going to flip around and tell you to head back north. And again, this is what we've seen from multiple people. We saw the guy who owns the record for circumnavigation in an airplane flew from North Carolina down to somewhere here. Then he went to Brazil. Then he went to the South Pole, and he was supposed to go to the other side, but he got to the South Pole and turned around and flew back to Brazil because he said the weather was bad. Then he flew from Brazil to New Zealand, then New Zealand to Alaska, Alaska to the North Pole back to North Carolina, and they called that circumnavigation. That certainly doesn't look like circumnavigation to me. And when you look at the girl that just skied to the South Pole, I wrote her an email because she got to the South Pole, skied to the 90 degrees, turned around and went back. And when I asked her, why didn't you just go across? You already were at the South Pole. Why not just add that to your little book of accomplishments? And she said because they tried to charge her $55,000 to be picked up on the other side of Antarctica, which makes absolutely no sense. Why would it be easier for someone to pick you up here than on the other side of Antarctica, unless this is why? Because they know that there's no way she can get over here from there. So they told her, go back this way. And again, look at Sir Ranulph Fiennes, who is the Guinness Book of World Records holder for circumnavigation, and it took him 4 years, basically, and he reported it as 4 different distances: 30,000, 50,000, 65,000, and 100,000 miles. They basically started here, went down here, hung out for a year, went down here, hung out for a year, went down here, hung out for a year, and then eventually came back over here and said, okay, we did it, 4 years. And that's your Guinness Book of World Records. Again, do you think it's interesting that in the history of our Earth, probably a couple billion people have circumnavigated the Earth east-west? Couple billion. And based on everything that we can find, one person is circumnavigated north-south. And he is the cousin of Queen Elizabeth, who eats babies, and is a Freemason. So if you're okay with that, you think, that's fine. What do you mean? Why would you question that? Seems absolutely normal. A couple billion versus one. I don't think we should question it. Well, when you look at the flat Earth idea, it is impossible to circumnavigate north-south. So why is there no such thing? All a plane needs to do, for instance, they just did that solar flight that went east-west around the world. Why not send a polar flight north-south? Why is it that no planes cross South America? I'm sorry, no planes cross Antarctica, where there would be much shorter routes. They'll try and tell you some bullshit like the weather or something, which makes no sense because planes fly in negative 100 Fahrenheit weather anyway. That's how cold it is at the 30,000 altitude anyway. So certainly the ground is not making a difference when you get up 30,000 feet. You would not notice any difference. 30,000 feet above a frozen continent or 30,000 feet above the equator. And that's true because you can just look at the equator. The equator's filled with snow-capped mountains. So it's not like, oh, well, at the equator it's all warm and at the caps it's cold. No, when you're up that high, it's cold everywhere. So that should be a big question for people. And why did Captain Cook sail 60,000 miles around and say, well, there's no southern continent, and because if there is one, it must be affixed to the pole and has been there from creation, because when I sailed around, all I could see was an ice wall for as far as the eye could see east and west. So that's what somebody would say if they're sailing around like this, trying to get around the southern continent. And they can't get around it because there's just an ice wall for as far as the eye can see going east or west. There is no way to get around the southern continent. And that's what he reported. And even that's hard to take as fact, because his log didn't come out till 3 years after he finished his expedition. Because when you used to be funded by the state or by the government, you used to have to get back and then turn your log books into the government, and then they would correct it all. So any kind of information that was in there anyway that they wanted taken out was taken out. Magellan's trip, I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say 44,000 miles. I did a video on it. It's called There's No North-South Circumnavigation. But Magellan, who didn't even make it back from his trip, but basically came here, down here, around, and he... 42,000? And they also try and shorten that by lying about statute miles, where even in the book that was written by, I want to always say Ponce de Leon. What's the guy's name? The guy, Pigfada.
Oh yeah, Pigfada.
Pigfada is the guy that wrote the memoirs, because Magellan didn't make it back. So anyway, it basically comes down to that's 44,000 miles. And they were in the southern hemisphere. It makes sense on this map, doesn't it? It makes every bit of sense, because it's going to be much larger than the equator. So it makes sense. And this is why when you start looking into this stuff, unless you want to just believe what you're told, that doing your own investigation will turn something different than you're seeing elsewhere. And again, just talking about those Great Circle routes, follow all these plane flights and look at the Great Circle route, and is it a coincidence that, for instance, we saw London to Chicago, which is a straight line right across. The plane the other day from somewhere in Germany or something that was going to LA and had to make an emergency stop up near Greenland, is going right through there. Actually, I think it was more like this, but so it certainly is interesting to me, at least, that all these Great Circle routes are passing these locations. And people question, like, Hawaii to Florida, which Hawaii is south of Florida. So wouldn't it make sense that the Great Circle route would be a dipping? In fact, let's look at this too. So we saw Vegas to Hawaii, and that one flight was like that. Florida to Hawaii. I'm sorry, I'm thinking the Philippines. Florida to the Philippines, like this. See, that's a crazy thing. If you think about the globe, think about where Florida is, think about where the Philippines are. The Philippines are definitely south of Florida, and yet the Great Circle route goes up by the North Pole. Well, when you draw the straight line from Florida to the Philippines, you see that it goes right straight by the North Pole. So a lot of these things are just interesting tidbits of information. You got to do your own research and all that fun stuff. So sorry that was a long answer to that question, but I'm ready to go to bed, I'll tell you that much. Let's all get those whiny protesters. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Yeah, and 50 Shades of Grays says, that's my answer too, Jaron. Truth is just more important to some than others. Well, I'd rather at least confirm for myself, and that's something I thought that everything we were being told is the truth, but I was also told that Catholicism was true, and lots of things that I've come to realize are not necessarily true. I wanted to do a video on it, but I should ask the question of Christians that are out there, just to put a little prod to you, is you have to tell me, if you're a Christian, how you answer this question, because it's the one that stumped me to the point where I can't see how it could possibly be the truth. The Bible says that Satan masquerades as an angel of light. The Bible says that. It's God's word. It's inspired, so nothing would be in there that isn't the truth. There's no way you can get around that statement. There's no way you can say it's means something different. It's a metaphor. No. Satan masquerades, means goes around pretending that he is an angel of light. Okay, so that's what Satan does. So now we know that the Bible is inspired by God, meaning people who wrote it were inspired or contacted or were writing on behalf of this angel of light that they feel is God. So how can you determine whether or not Satan is the one who inspired the writings these people wrote? When I had to ask myself that question, it came down to, I certainly can't. If he's masquerading as an angel of light, well then many of these Bible stories that I've had problems with, that other people explain away by saying, oh, he didn't really kill babies, God was just passing judgment, or he has to love in a jealous way, and all the little excuses that are used certainly seem like somebody making excuses for writings that certainly don't seem to be describing the Creator. So to me, I started looking at it saying, okay, hold on a second. What proof do I have that God ever killed anybody? Zero. What proof do I have that he murdered the firstborn of all Egyptians? That sounds like something that Satan would do, not God. What proof do I have that God demanded sacrifice? None. I just have that book. Then again, it sounds like Satan would ask for sacrifice. Who would ever ask you to kill their own creation in homage of you? That seems like Satan would tell you to kill God's creations in homage to him. Certainly wouldn't be God telling you to kill animals that he created so that he can smell their sweet, savory, bloody guts. It just doesn't make any sense. So once you start putting two and two together, it certainly looks like, and again, I understand people say, oh, the Bible, it seems true, it makes predictions. Okay, well, if Satan is another worldly being, then he would be able to make predictions, make things in the Bible seem to be coming true. And what a deception it would be to get you to worship one of two beings, either the Old Testament God, who kills little babies and is a jealous God. He doesn't want you to worship any other God but him, even though he's the only God. That seems like they won't, somebody in the Bible wants you to either worship that God or the man that came to earth as a man and was hung on a cross. And the symbol of Christianity is the death scene of God. It is God dead on a cross. It's not God raised from the dead. It's not God coming out of a tomb. It's God hanging lifeless with a stab wound in his chest or in his side, nailed to a cross. And this is what Christians go around wearing earrings and necklaces, and so it certainly seems to me like a deception. It seems like somebody wants you to worship two people who are not God and to not worship God. Again, if my soul, my salvation depended on me accepting Jesus as God, then it would have been said about 25 times throughout the Gospels, over and over again, repeated, worship me, pray to me, I'm the only one that you can pray to. Whereas it seems like Jesus was ambiguous about it. He kind of says it sometimes, but not others. Are you God's son? Well, it's you who say I am. Nobody gets through the Father except through me. Okay, that certainly sounds interesting, but he's referring to not himself. He's referring to nobody gets to the Father as in another person except through me. And he also says nobody has spoken to God. Nobody has seen his face or heard his voice. But the Old Testament tells us Abraham did, Moses did, Jacob did. All these people saw God and also heard his voice. So is the Old Testament that we read even the same one that Jesus was referring to? Maybe the Old Testament never said God talked to anybody. It wouldn't have been the Old Testament at that time. It would have been the scriptures. But that's not speaking correctly. That's a complete and total contradiction in the Bible. How can you say no one has seen God or heard his voice? Especially if Jesus is God. Be like me saying nobody has ever seen Jaron or heard his voice, as I'm the one talking. It's a complete and total contradiction. So, I understand Christians. I understand they want everyone to see that Jesus is the truth and the way and the light. But again, I can't see any evidence of that couldn't be explained away with simply, well, did Satan write that? Again, look at your life, and have you ever seen somebody walk on water? Because I haven't. And have you ever seen somebody born of a virgin? Because I haven't. And somebody raise somebody from the dead? Because I haven't. Or somebody come back from the dead? Or somebody come out of the clouds? Or somebody come back and, again, Jesus is all about turn the other cheek and love your enemies. How is he going to come back and kill a bunch of people on a horseback? That's not Jesus. Jesus said, don't do that. Whatever you do, don't kill people. Don't go after them. Let them falter. But then we're supposed to believe that magically he's just going to change his mind and come back and then start attacking, evildoers and Satan, and there'll be a war. And I just think it's a setup. It's a kindergarten belief with insufficient evidence. It's disinfo. And again, for people saying, oh, we've known the earth was a ball for, thousands of years, since 600. Well, it certainly seems like whoever wrote the New Testament didn't know, because they said Jesus will come on a cloud and every eye will see him. That does not work on a globe. And they said Satan took Jesus up to the top of a mountain and showed him the entire earth, which try and draw a mountain on a globe that is high enough that you can see around the whole thing. Doesn't exist. And again, why, if Jesus is God, why wouldn't he just say, you're funny, dude, this is already mine. I'm God. Why would you try and offer me what's already mine? But it certainly seems like Satan was offering him something he had every right to offer him. He was saying, worship me and I'll give you all this. And he said, no, I'm not going to worship you. So it sounds like there is a God of this world that does like animal sacrifice, that does like killing babies, that does like causing calamity. And just so you know, the Jehovah means God of calamity. Mm-hmm. So who might that God be that masquerades as an angel of light, that certainly seems like the Bible's told from a perspective of somebody who wasn't really that upset at Satan, doesn't it? If it was written by people, wouldn't God be bad-mouthing Satan constantly? Not, oh, Lucifer, art thou the great and fallen? Aren't you beautiful? You were the most beautiful. And then telling the story at the beginning of the Bible where Satan doesn't lie and God gets shown to be a liar. It just seems kind of weird to me that where's the bad stories about Satan? Where, it even says, I got to flood the world because Satan has corrupted you all. So wipe everybody dead, kill them all, and then let's repopulate again from Noah, but we forgot about Satan. He's still there. So none of it makes any sense unless you look at it and say, could Satan be the author of that book? Not saying that I believe that, because I don't necessarily. I think that the book has been written by men with good intentions, improper ideas about the Creator, and changed over time. I mean, just look at this. Find a date in the Bible. Can you imagine God's going to write a book that's going to teach you about life and how long we've been here and leave any date out of it? Or does that sound like a book used by a group of people that are controlling you and probably have done it before and probably will do it again by simply people who start catching on to their tricks? They get rid of them and then they let people come up from the scrums again or And then they find the Bible. Oh, here's the truth. Yeah, here's the truth. Believe in this. Sit and wait for Jesus to come back while we destroy everyone and keep getting richer and richer. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Maybe I don't need to do a video now. So sorry I didn't get to all the chats, but I am dead tired and I'm talking in circles, and so. Anything else new? I can't think. I have a video that should come out when I wake up. It's almost done. Almost done. I'm going to bed. All right, guys, take care of each other. Don't lie to each other, and don't fall for people who masquerade as angels of light.